Good afternoon, everybody. We are group number 4, and today is our presentation about Great Migration. But first of all, I would like to say thank you to our Khadija. Do you remember her, of course, and we miss her. And she was a part of our rose blue team today. And she helped us to create our great Blockster. I would like to start and explain what is a Great Migration. Great Migration was the movement of 6 million African Americans from out of the rural southern states to northeast, middle west, and west. That occurred between 1910 to 1970. They moved from 14 states, especially Louisiana, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas, to the industrial northeast. Thank you. And some historians differentiate between the first Great Migration and the second Great Migration. The first Great Migration that occurred between 1910 and 1930, when African Americans moved from rural south to the industrial north. And the second Great Migration, it was after Great Depression, and that occurred between 1940 and 1970, and it's brought out of 5 million people to the industrial north. By the end of second migration, we can see that African American population had become urbanized population, and 80% of African Americans lived in the cities, and most of African Americans lived in the south. 53% you can see, and 40% in the north. And I would like to say about some facts. Can you imagine? Over 5 million lived in the south doing despicable jobs, and more than 6 million African Americans left to go north for less racism and better job opportunities. And now Stan will continue and explain us about expectation from the north. Stan, you're welcome.
I want to represent you my part of our presentation called The Expectation from the North. 1914, America is booming. In just 4 years, the economy doubles. America is poised to become the richest nation on earth. 3 generations after the end of the slavery, black Southerners are on the move in search for the better life. From 1915 to 1930, 1.5 million head north. That called Great Migration. Without the increase of the job opportunities caused of World War I, the Great Migration might never have occurred. The fighting in Europe increased the demand on companies from the United States to produce ammunition and other goods for support for the supporting of the war. Um, not only the economic gain was the reason of people coming north. There also was the educational opportunities. The another reason why black people came north was the feeling of freedom, personal freedom, and because northern cities were busy and impersonal, and they offered better freedom to live, and because of that, people came north. One of the main reasons why black Southerners came north was the letters and visits they received from their relatives and friends who came north earlier. As Al Sharpton says, the North was represented like a promised land to southern people. If you can go north, you can work. If you can go north, you can get better education. If you can go north, you are not going to have to step off the curb when the white people go down the block. But the promised land was not, for many of them, promised land was not the promise they saw. Yes, the north was better than south, but there was not a land of milk and honey. So the next part of our presentation will continue Valeria.
Hi, I'm Valeria, and I'm gonna tell you about what actually happened in the north when people came there. By the end of 1919, some 1 million black people was migrating to the north cities, and population of these north cities increased a lot. In New York by 66%, in Philadelphia 500%, and Detroit 611%. That was the biggest raise of population of the northern city. And Holly was migrating all different ways: boats, cars, even horse-drawn carriages, and some of them had cars, and so they migrated all different ways. And when they came, they faced first problem, employment. Most of them found jobs in factories and slaughterhouses where conditions was really hard, sometimes dangerous. It was dangerous to work there. So, but female migrants faced even bigger problem. They was fighting for domestic labor jobs, and there was an even bigger competition. On the side of that, they had a third problem: where they're gonna live, because white neighborhoods agreed not to sell houses to black people, and it was legal till 1948. After 1948, court said it's illegal. But before that, even though segregation was illegal in the north as it was in south, they still had problems with buying apartments and place to live. In Chicago, 1919 was the biggest rise rate called Red Summer. It happened because racism was widespread, and Ku Klux Klan had also their activities, and it was just getting worse and worse. And in July 1919 was the Red Summer, which lasted 13 days, and at the end of it, 38 black people died, and 537 people was injured, and thousands black families was without houses, without homes. So they came to the north expecting better life, and it didn't happen. And let's see what's coming next in our presentation.
Hello, my name is Alfredo. I belong to the group number 4, Great Migration. I want to introduce one video about the reverse migration, what happened now and nowadays, or the people from the north back to the south to discover their roots.
Why are African Americans moving back to the South? After a decade of moving north, thousands of are now returning to their southern route for economics and cultural reasons. For most of the 20th century, blacks were buying one-way tickets out for the Jim Crow South in hopes of a better life. Nearly 6 million African Americans followed the railroad to places like Detroit and Chicago, never dreaming that their children and grandchildren would someday lead a return migration chases the American dream back down the Mississippi and straight across the Mason-Dixon line. The Great Migration slowly eased in the 1970s as the North's economic fortunes began to dim and the South's racial climate began to improve. But it wasn't until the 2000 census, when the South posted its first black population increase in more than a century, that demographers started to really take notice. By 2010s, about 50% of the nation's Americans were living in the South, a higher percent than the any time in 60 years. The South, to be sure, has been a population magnet for people for all races since the end of World War II. The region was the top destination for the newcomers between 1979 and 2011. The Selford roots and the urge to explore their African American heritage is a key motivator for some of the migration younger participants. Many are the first, second, or third generation to be born in the northern cities. Some of the return migrants are retirees, while others are college educated young people driven by economic realities, historical curiosity, and the old-fashioned American drive to explore new frontiers and create new worlds. Many things are cheaper: local taxes, home and property taxes. In fact, the whole cost of living is cheaper. If you want to relax, the South is home.
Thank you for the attention. I hope we are enjoy our presentation. Please come up once again.